And welcome to Blue Army TV. I'm sitting here after Carlisle have beaten Crewe 3-0 away from home in what is probably one of the best away performances I've seen in my time following Carlisle. The reason this video is a little bit late uploaded is because I went to the game. I didn't get back in until about 2 in the morning, so I didn't really feel like making a video last night, but it is here this morning. I apologise for the wait. But yeah, an excellent result and an excellent performance from everyone involved. I felt like there wasn't really anybody that had a bad game today. I feel like we did everything well defensively and we did everything well attacking-wise. I don't think there's anything really to pick apart from this performance. The midfield game was excellent. I think Owen Moxon, we're going to be very, very lucky if we come to the end of the January transfer window and he's still at the club. I know Paul Simpson said on an interview that there's been no calls made for any of our players, but you've got to consider that January hasn't started yet, and the fact that the exact same comments were made, I think, just 2 days before Jared Brandthwaite was sold to Everton. So I wouldn't read too much into Paul Simpson's comments. I hope he's right. I hope there's nobody interested in him. But you look at that performance yesterday, and it was absolutely perfect. There isn't a footballer like him in League Two, I don't think. I think he is probably the best in League Two, and the fact that he's only, I think, 24... we're extremely lucky to have him, and it was an incredibly good bit of business from us. Because, I didn't want us to sign him when we signed him. I really didn't want us to sign Owen Moxon because he was coming from the Scottish League 2, which, with all due respect, that league, it's not up to the standard of the English League 2. Them two leagues, they're both called League 2, but they're not on a par. I thought it would be too much of a step up for him. And then we signed him, and he's been probably the best player in the league this season. He can do everything. He's the perfect footballer. He can defend. His tackling game's absolutely immense. He's got a brilliant shot on him. He's one of the best set-piece takers in the league. And his general passing game is unreal. He seems to read the minds of the opposition players. It happened a few times last night where he knows where the pass is going before they even play the pass themselves. And he gets himself into a position where he can intercept it. And he does that a lot. He does that so often. He does that every single game. I think last night was probably one of his best games. He gets arguably the assist for the first goal. Morgan Feeney scores a brilliant header from an Owen Moxon corner. Now, there is some sort of argument whether Paul Huntington got the touch to make it Huntington's assist, but at the end of the day, it's his corner that makes the opportunity, and what a corner it was. He gets the assist for the first goal, and then he scores an absolutely unreal goal. I don't know how he's managed to get it in. It's inside the box, it's from a wide position, and he gets it past the keeper. Their keeper who, he's a big guy, that keeper. It'll be very difficult to get it around that keeper. But yeah, enough on singling out individual players. I just think, what a team we've got at the minute. What an incredible team. And look, I admire Crewe as a football club. I went down there today. They've got one incredible stand, and then 3 sort of lesser stands, much like I don't want to disrespect Brunton Park too much, but we've got one modern stand and then 3 really old ones, and it's very much the same thing with Crewe. I remember pulling up into the car park, seeing that absolutely massive stand, and I thought, Christ, is this a League 2 ground? And then you walk around that stand to the other side of the ground, and you think, yeah, it is a League 2 ground. It's just the one stand. But I admire Crewe as a club, and I think they're in a bit of a false position. They didn't play well at all last night. They were not great. I quite like Crewe. I quite like how they played last time we played them in the reverse fixture at home, because I thought they were really defensively good. Really defensively good. I just thought they couldn't score, and I think that's been their issue this season, is that they just don't score enough goals. But they're defensively sound, and we just completely tore up that defensive record. Rod McDonald, Kelvin Mellor, 2 ex-Carlisle players. It's nice to see both of them starting in League 2, because there were 2 players that, although didn't make it at Carlisle properly, were 2 players that I actually, they were good players, and there was no hard feelings when they left the club. So it's nice to see 2 ex-Blues doing well elsewhere in the league. And yeah, it was just a really, really good win all round. Midfield game, we absolutely bossed it. Callum Guy, and I want to speak a little bit about Callum Guy, because Owen Moxon gets most of the credit, because he is Owen Moxon. But you look at Callum Guy, he goes about his business. He started adding goals to his game now, which is incredible. Every single one from outside the box, by the way. You'd think he'd scored a couple inside, but no, all outside the box from Callum. He's a brilliant defensive midfielder. And then you've got Taylor Charters next to him, young player coming through, and he looks brilliant. I hope his injury isn't too bad, because he came off with an injury. I hope it was precautionary, because I think by the time he came off, the game was already won. So it's one of those games where you take him off as a precaution. The same happened with John Mellish. I really hope John Mellish isn't injured, because, look what happened when he last got injured. We didn't win a game when he was, but yeah, he got injured. And then Jack Ellis was taken off at half-time, hopefully just a precautionary thing again. But yeah, 3 excellent goals. I'll go through the goals one by one. Morgan Feeney header from a corner really early on in the game. Brilliant. Start of the second half, Owen Moxon scores that unreal goal that I was speaking about before. And then towards the end, when we're playing against 10 men, we leave Christian Dennis up on the halfway line. He makes a run. There's no Crewe players around him at all. I don't know how he's managed to break away. And when Christian Dennis, as much as I love Christian Dennis, when he's beaten your 2 centre-backs for pace that you've left behind, there's something severely wrong, because he's a good striker, he's a brilliant finisher, but he's not at all a speedy man. Like, he's not fast at all. So the fact that he managed to, with the ball, break through that line, from the halfway line, and get to a good shooting position, was it inside the box? I think it might have been inside the box. There's something wrong there for Crewe, because he's not a fast striker, but he took the finish well, and he did really well with it, and he did what Christian Dennis does, where he just puts the ball in the back of the net. When he's in that position, there was no doubt in my mind that he was going to score. In past seasons, we've had players that we'd miss 3 one-on-ones in one game, say, Tristan Abraham's an example, but look, I had no doubt that Christian Dennis was going to score that. I get full confidence with him, and he didn't start. He reacted extremely well to being dropped. And whether it is him being dropped or being rested, I don't know, but he was on the bench regardless. And he comes on and he gets an amazing goal. And yeah, I'm just so proud of this team. I am, and can I just mention as well, the away support. Unreal. Absolutely unreal away support from us. What was it, 800 and something? 800 and something on a Thursday night in Crewe. Like, that's nearly a 3-hour trip. I think it maybe is. I can't remember, but it's a long trip down. Most clubs in the country, that's seen as like a far away game, but for us, that's one of the closer ones, And to bring that many fans to it, and I can't emphasise this enough, a Thursday night kickoff, and it wasn't even correctly timed for Thursday night either. It wasn't even the quarter to 8 kickoff. It was 7 o'clock. This is a difficult away ground to get to. I remember, it's a funny story. I went down and my dad was driving me down. We put Crewe FC into the sat-nav, and we pulled up an hour before kick-off in some random non-league car park. Crewe FC, apparently. We didn't put Crewe Alexandra, so we turned up at the wrong football ground. We pulled up and it was completely dead. There's nobody about in this field, which is Crewe FC. But yeah, we got there in the end. And it was such a good away game to be part of. I've been to some good away games. I remember Cardiff away was brilliant. That Hartlepool one at the start of the season, Oldham when Morgan Feeney scored a header as well. But this one just felt different, because this one felt routine. We never broke a sweat. It wasn't anything overly dramatic. We just went about our game and absolutely bulldozed them, and it puts us into 4th. We were already in 4th before the game, but it puts us further into 4th. We're now there, not on goal difference, if you know what I mean. Like, we're there because we got more points than everyone else. And it also puts us within 4 points of the automatics. Now, Northampton lost, and from what I've heard, they didn't look convincing at all, as tends to happen in losses. But they're not unreachable, Northampton. Them automatic places are not unreachable, and we're coming into a run of games. Now, I'm not going to be one of those people that says they're easy games, because there are no easy games in this league, as you should have seen in previous seasons. I remember thinking Notts County was an easy game because they were the bottom of the league, and then battering us 3-1 at our own ground. Yeovil Town on the last day of the season, already relegated 0-0, we couldn't score past them. Just because a team's down the end of the league doesn't mean it's going to be an easy game, and none of these games will be easy, but we're coming up against a good run of teams in the bottom half of the table that, bookies odds, you would expect us to win. Now, we've got a good opportunity to build some ground, because I think those automatic promotion places are there for the taking. Northampton are a good team. They beat us, and it frustrates me that, because we should have beat them. Northampton. We should have beat Leyton Orient, but we would robbed that result as well. And they're the only 2 big defeats this season that I can think of that come from teams above us. If we'd have won those 2 games, which we were perfectly capable of, we'd be in the automatic promotion places. And I know it's if buts and maybes, but what I mean to say in that is that we played both of those teams and we proved that we were on par with both of those teams. We might have lost, but we didn't look out of place. Stevenage is another matter. I think Stevenage kind of steamrolled us a bit. We were on a bad run of form at that time. Stevenage did look better than us, but the other two promotion places that are taken above us, we're as good as them. We are as good as both of those teams. We're as good a team as Leyton Orient. We're as good a team as Northampton, and it's not unreachable. I'm not going to say we're going to win the title because I think that's very far gone. I think Leyton Orient will probably win it quite convincingly, but third place gets you up in this league, and I think it's very achievable at the minute. Look, I say that we're 4 points off the automatic promotion places. We're also 4 points off ninth. You know, that's how close this league is. A run of wins gets you into the automatics. A run of losses gets you down mid-table. That's how this league works. But the unity of the team, people are starting to come back from injury now. Amari Patrick's back. Joel Senior's back for the first time since, I think, this time last season. And Ryan Edmondson's on the mend. We've got players to come back, and we're looking stronger than ever. And we're coming into a run of games where we're expected to win. It's looking good. And I'm really excited to see what the next few weeks hold. I made the mistake of wishing everybody a Happy New Year in my last video, not knowing that this would come out before New Year's Day. I just assumed because it was so close to the New Year's that we wouldn't play against Laughter, but it turns out we do. So I'm going to take this opportunity to, rightfully this time, wish you all a Happy New Year. I hope you all had good Christmases. But yeah, it's been a brilliant year covering the Blues. Less so at the start of this year, but what a year it's been. I think we've gone from 23rd to 4th in this year from last season. It's been a real good year for supporting the Blues. Paul Simpson's coming back, and he's going to lead us to League One. Thank you for watching. Have a Happy New Year, and in a bit.